Okay, boys, open fire!
You poachers never learn.
Don't just stand there, shoot him!
I bet that's him.
Same old.
There are 33 hostiles.
Makes sense. 3 is the divine right's sacred number.
The hostages are all in the 5th floor conference room, guarded by 13 men. And teams of 2 in 10 other places, with gas masks and night vision and laser rifles. The guard team's in constant contact with the 2-man sentries and monitoring their surveillance cameras. I'd say it's hopeless. Why don't we save time and just order 100 tombstones?
Before we get started, I want to allow my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. Basically, tell everyone where you're from and what you do, and tell us your top 2 favorite anime movies and why.
Okay, I am Chuck Huber. I am a voice actor and a regular actor. And you will know me as the voice of Android 17, Hiei, Dr. Stein, Austria, Kurogiri from Hetalia. Austria's from Hetalia. Kurogiri's from My Hero Academia. I'm a father. I have 6 children, 2 stepchildren, lots of kids in this house. Just had a baby 2 months ago.
Wow.
I know, it's insane. And my 2 favorite anime, and this is tough. I mean, anime movies, there are so, like, I could just say Miyazaki, and like, that's one. Say that. But Miyazaki is like the Coen brothers, because the Coen brothers always make good movies. They're always interesting. They're always fun to watch. Some of them are over the top incredible. Some of them are over the top hilarious. And Miyazaki is like that too. But if I had to pick, and there's a sweetness to it and a simplicity to it that just makes me feel like a little kid again, and it's Kiki's Delivery Service. I think if I had to, like,
Okay.
I'll take all Miyazaki, and then or Ponyo, or My Neighbor Totoro. Actually, it's probably, anyway, it's all of his films. And then if I had to pick another one, Hosada makes some really incredible films, and I've had the great privilege and honor of being in a couple of them. I was in Summer Wars and Boy and Beast, and Boy and Beast happens to be a really incredible film. Summer Wars is also an incredible film. Boy and Beast is a little more special to me. It's one of the first ones that I was in, and I have a small part. Kyoto's father, just one scene. Important scene, emotional scene. And it meant something to me at the time. And I got to watch it with my children. And I was such a small part of it, it didn't ruin the movie for me. Because typically when I'm in a movie or a series, I ruin it. For me and for my children.
Oh, I can feel like telling them what's going on and stuff. Yeah.
That's just their dad's voice. So, and they didn't really notice in Summer Wars. They didn't notice that I was the uncle. And then they did. And then they're like, "Was that you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And they were like, "Oh, that's cool." But yeah, so if I had to pick 2, I'd say Kiki's Delivery Service and Boy and Beast.
Okay. So are you saying your kids prefer to watch stuff if you're in it when they can't really recognize your voice?
Yeah, for sure. And they think it's cool that I'm in anime. They like to, they brag to their friends about it, of course. And they've actually gotten to the point now where they don't tell their friends that I'm in anime, because they don't want that to be a thing, because it's become such a thing for people that And it's weird being the child of someone who does something that's recognized, like anime or acting or music or whatever it is, golf, sports figure. There like you have to, because there are people who will want to be their friend because I do anime. And that's not really a great basis for a friendship. That's not really, it can turn into a friendship, but that initial thing, like all the friends kind of have to get over that at some point. Coming to the house helps definitely because we have such a weird, regular, awesome life over here in our house that it dispels the notion that there's some sort of magic to it. And there is magic. I mean, we're incredibly lucky to be doing anime, but
when they get to see you and see you're a regular person, they're probably like, oh, okay. I'm thinking you this whole actor, like, you know what I mean? Not saying like you're not an actor, but you're not probably like fancy and all that. You know what I mean?
It's not, I'm not, it's a niche, but it's become a very big niche. Anime is, I knew it was getting weird when I started seeing like basketball players with DBZ shoes. Yeah, or NFL players doing the fusion dance in the end zone. I was like, what is happening? All these people love anime, and it was wild. COVID really did it for us.
That's what I was gonna say. COVID is the main reason why I feel like it's become so popular because I feel like people had to stay at home and they didn't have many movies or anything to watch. So they like, what else is there to watch? And then they got opened up to anime.
Yep, they sure did. That's what it was. I have 40 some odd nephews and nieces. None of them ever cared about me doing anime. Then suddenly, like halfway through COVID, it was like, they're like
texting you and everything.
Uncle Charlie, can I get a Dr. Stein print for my friend? I'm like, yes, of course you can.
That's amazing.
Dr. Stein prints for my nephews and nieces.
Okay. Hey, I might have to ask for a print. No, I'm just playing. But
email me your address. I'll send you one.
Okay. But for my top anime movies, I just chose what the two movies I could think of at the time because this is one of those questions that'll just have you thinking and thinking and thinking. I chose Battle of Gods from Dragon Ball Z.
All right.
I liked this movie because it brought back the whole Dragon Ball Z universe into mainstream.
Yeah.
My second one is a movie that just came out recently. It's the new Haikyuu movie, The Battle of the Garbage Dump. I thought that movie was pretty good. It's probably one of the few anime movies I went to go see more than 2 times. I actually went to go see this 3 times. So
wow. Okay.
That movie really got my money. And the funny thing is, this whole year I've only went to go see 3 movies, and all 3 of them were anime movies. I'm starting to think that this might be my only medium that I'm paying attention to. Like,
what 3 movies did you see?
I went to go see the Haikyuu movie. Then I went to go see the Blue Lock movie, which was actually just 2 episodes, like an episode type of thing, going back, retelling the story. Then I think it a Demon Slayer movie, if I'm thinking correctly, towards the beginning of the year. So yeah 3 movies.
Very good.
I kind of wanted to go see Bad Boys, but I just couldn't really get into it to go watch it. But that was probably the only other movie I'd probably go watch.
What did we see? We saw something in the new Quiet Place movie.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was very good. My son Samson really likes the series, and he was dead set on me taking him. He's like, "You're taking me to see that movie." I was like, "Rock on, dude, let's go."
Oh, that's dope. I haven't seen the first one. It's like a scary thriller type of a movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely gonna have to take my chance to go watch that.
The aliens can't see, but they can hear really well, so everyone has to be quiet.
Oh, it's aliens. Okay. No spoilers. Anybody that hasn't seen it, but I didn't know it was aliens. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Before we get into the nitty gritty, before we start talking about questions and everything, I just kind of wanted to ask you: are there any anime that you've been watching right now that you personally been keeping up with?
No, nothing right now. My children, what is my son watching? He just caught up on One Piece.
Oh, okay, that's amazing. That's a commitment.
And then what is it called? Mafia, something mob,
Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho. That's what it is. That's what he's watching right now. And so I get pieces of it from them when they're watching. My girls were really into manga and anime, and then they kind of turned teenagery and they pushed it back a little bit. I have a feeling they'll come back to it eventually. But they were like, what was the one manga my daughter was reading all the time? Something Toilet Hanako-kun. I can't remember, but it had toilet in the title and it was really long.
I have to think about that, but I can't think.
Yeah, a haunted bathroom, if I recall.
Well, there's manga about literally everything. It's actually one that I had to show my doctor that I work with, because I work in the dentist field. But it was about dentistry, and I was like, they are literally making something about everything in this field. It is awesome.
They do. They make that's why I always say, like, I'll have parents that come up to the table and they'll be like, I don't understand what's happening. And I'm like, what do you like? And they're like, I like food. I'm like, Food Wars.
It's literally anything.
I like baseball. I like cars. I'm like, Initial D, and then so like there's something for everybody in anime. It can be scary, it can be stupid, it can be funny, it can be ridiculous, it can be horrifying, it can be terrible. Like the genre, it's a medium. It's not really a genre. It's like anime is a medium. It's like saying movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because anime is
it's a whole field of there's so much.
They're all different. Not all of them are exactly the same. The fan service are all different. Let's be honest.
One thing I do like about anime that I think does better than any other genre of media is the fact that they're willing to tackle things that a lot of other media isn't willing to do. So
yeah, decades, way ahead of its time. When I was a kid in college in Chicago, there was a video rental store. There was a Blockbuster, and then down the street from that was a video rental store called Fine Arts, I think it was called. And it was tiny little hole in the wall. It probably existed before Blockbuster, but it would have all the cool foreign movies that you couldn't get from Blockbuster, and it had a whole wall of anime. And so we would typically get the movies. We would try watching series, but they came in 4 episodes on each tape, and you could never get 1 through 4. Or if you got 1 through 4, you could never get 5 through 8. So you'd watch the first episode, and then this was back in the day. You'd have to leave your number and be like, when this comes in, tell me so that I can come. And they'd call you, and you'd be like, oh, I'm stuck in, social studies class. I can't come in. And so you'd go, I'll be there after class. And then you'd come in and be like, oh, sorry, man. So the next guy on the list rented it. And I was like, oh, shit, you're supposed to. Like, I can't just hold it for you, man. I got to go down the list. Everybody wants to watch it. So it was, but we watched Cowboy Bebop. I think we maybe got 8 episodes deep on Cowboy Bebop, and then revisited it later when it was, I think it was Netflix, when you could get anime from Netflix.
And they ship it to your house, or when? Okay.
Back when Netflix was a DVD, like, that's funny to explain to kids. Like, Netflix didn't start. Amazon used to only sell books, and people are like, what? Used books, and used to send them in, and people would make money. I mean, I made money back in the day. You'd send your used books in, and they'd give you some money for them. Not a lot, but
I did not know that.
Yeah, Amazon started as a bookseller, and
no, I didn't know you could send in books. And, like, I know they started off because then they used to have like the Nooks and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's all changed. I can't believe the internet is old enough to have like vintage parts.
I think it's funny if you talk about just how fast Netflix and Amazon, that happened so quickly, like maybe 10 or 20 years, and we already to the part where it's streaming services now. It's just technology really made stuff progress really quickly.
Yeah, it does. And we're about to hit, I mean, I know there's a lot of fear around artificial intelligence, and I think rightly so. Just like there was a lot of fear around electricity and there was a lot of fear around the internet, I think artificial intelligence is going to exponentially rival both the introduction of electricity and the introduction of the internet. I think artificial intelligence is going to change the fabric of society. It's going to change the way we deal with output and work in ways that our great technocratic overlords will definitely believe is beneficial to us. And it might be. I mean, we're kind of, everybody kind of works, I myself included, but only to a degree that, we all have to work. Everybody's got to work. We all got to work, and everybody's kind of like, they got to keep us on that treadmill, because our working makes them more money. So the more we work, the more money they make. And if our work becomes irrelevant and they're able to, I don't know, universal basic income us, there may be some fun. To come in the future where people are like, do you remember when we used to have to work and pay taxes, and now all we do is eat food in our 15-minute cities and be creative and farm in our backyard gardens? I mean, that would be amazing. It would really be amazing if because there's this underlying tension in all of society for almost everybody. And you'd be surprised. Some rich people are not really as rich as you think they are. They're struggling just as hard. Everybody struggles up to their breaking point, and everybody has a different breaking point. And as you get lower and lower on that tier, the breaking point becomes more and more dangerous. But yeah, everybody, if you took away that fear of what one car wreck, one hospital trip away from, bankruptcy or the poorhouse, everybody kind of feels like that. We all, and that's designed to make us work harder and longer. And so maybe the artificial intelligence is going to make things better, but I don't know. Maybe we'll all be brain chipped and slave robots, and eventually our heads will become bulbous and our arms will become thin and our skin will become gray and our mouths will become small, and we'll all be asexual sort of genetic robots flying UFOs. Maybe
Just on Twitter, just typing up, because it makes you think, if they're going to this whole route of artificial intelligence and robots, what are you going to do with us? Are you just going to sit us at home and have them do all the work? Or I'm hoping, like, are we going to war? You never know what's going on with the society.
Nobody knows anything.
But jumping it back into our interview today, my first question I wanted to ask you is basically, what made you want to pursue a career in voice acting?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Follow up.
And were you afraid of this new challenge?
No. So I was an actor. I was and I still am just an actor. Actually, I'm more of a writer producer now. My desire to act, although I'm still incredibly good at it, it's my desire to do it is less and less the more I've kind of figured it out. It's funny. I figured out the broken reasons why I wanted to act. Like, there was this like affirmation deprivation I was suffering from, and something about this is the process of acting, and like it was a way to put my emotions in. Like, there was a lot of, and that's why a lot of actors have that sort of background, because there's a safe place to put all these emotions. And so as I figured out, like, oh, hey, my desire to do this was not based on necessarily, it was a healthy outlet, but the desire didn't necessarily come from a healthy place. And as I become more and more healthy, I want to do more creative things that tell stories. Like, I'm an actor, and when you're an actor, you're in service of the story, you're in service of the writer, you're in service of the production. You're not doing the storytelling. You're doing the telling, but you're not creating the story. So I'm more into creating the stories now. But anyway, so I was an actor for years and years and years, and then went to rehearsals one day, and my buddy Brad Jackson was like, "Hey, you should go audition for this Dragon Balls thing." And I was like, Dragon Balls? That sounds a little strange. It's Japanese anime. And I was like, or he called it Japanimation, I think actually is what it's Japanimation. And I was like, Japanimation? I said, and I knew it was called anime because I went to the fancy, cool
Blockbuster.
You mean anime? And he was like, yeah, anime. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. And I was like, I think I said, what do they pay? And he's like, $35 an hour. And I was like, shit, yeah, dude, I'll do that. You know, we were all poor, starving actors back then.
That's not bad. $35.
Yeah. You know, 10 hours of that. That's great. So I went and auditioned. It was Chris Sabat was the director, and he said, hey man, come on in. Yeah, it's totally cool. And I auditioned, and I got Garlic Jr. And didn't think I was really going to get paid. The whole operation was kind of janky. It was super fun. Sabat and John Bergmeyer was the engineer. Like we had a blast recording it. It was so it was a lot of fun. But I just didn't think these guys had it together. I thought these guys, and I didn't know because the studio was downstairs in their sort of warehouse fulfillment area. So there's stacks of VHS tapes everywhere. And the offices were upstairs, but they were, so had I seen the offices and known that there were offices, I might have been like, oh, this is a more professional operation. I thought I was walking through a warehouse where some guys had rented a closet to record their anime. And I was like, they're never going to pay me. Nobody's ever going to pay me for
I can feel that.
Sabat ripped like a piece of paper out of a spiral notebook and was like, here, dude, you got to write down your address so I can send you the check. And I was like, okay, sure. And I wrote down my address on this like half-ripped sheet of paper, and I was like, I'm never getting paid. And I went home, and I got paid. I got paid like a week later. It was really quickly in terms of acting. I got paid pretty quick. Normally, when you act, you get paid a couple months later or whatever. Sometimes quicker than that. Depends on what type of acting you're doing. But I got paid, and I got like $70, and it was like, holy crap, I needed it. I needed it for food. I needed it for groceries. It was like extra money that I didn't expect to come. So I was hooked because of the fun and the people, and then the actually getting paid. I was like, this is awesome. I'll do this. And so I started doing it as often as I could. What was the second part of the question? You had a second part of the question.
Basically, were you afraid of this new challenge? But it seemed like you weren't.
No, not afraid of it at all. As a matter of fact, I was, Sabat has told the story that I was the first real actor they hired. Because they hired people who were actors, but their job wasn't acting. They had other jobs, and they had acted in school, or they had other jobs, or they wanted to act, or, you know, I mean, like even Sean Schimmel was, I think he was a professional French horn player.
Wow, that's
yeah. And so like I wasn't afraid of it. I thought it was awesome. I brought my skills because I always bring my skills, and elevated the game a little bit because I knew how to act. I knew what I wanted to do, and you know, so I definitely wasn't scared. That's for sure.
You said your first role was the Garlic Juniors.
Yes.
Did they talk? I don't remember them saying anything.
Garlic Jr., it's a 5-episode arc. He's the main villain. He's also got a movie.
Oh, Garlic Jr. Yes. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of the Cybermen. I'm like, do they even?
Emperor Pilaf's older cousin.
True. You also got to play Pilaf in the Dragon Ball series. So did you recorded for Dragon Ball Z first before you recorded for Dragon Ball? Okay.
Yeah, the rights to Dragon Ball Z first because it was the hot property that was blowing up in Japan. And Gen Fukunaga's brother, cousin, sister's husband, I can't remember, had the ability to give him the rights. And it was like, you need to take this, you need to take these rights, you need to start a studio. And so he did, and it turned into the powerhouse that it is. And not only is it a powerhouse, it saved Sony. Funimation saved Sony twice. Once during COVID, everything shut down except anime. So we kept cranking, making anime. So Sony was like, shit, I'm glad we have something happening. And then during the strike, anime was the other thing that kept going because it's a right to work state here in Texas. So Funimation saved Sony's butt twice because of their business model. So
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know about the strike, but I would have thought COVID because literally nothing was getting done during COVID.
no.
You also got to play Android 17. So basically, how did that opportunity come about? Because me and a lot of other people who listen to this podcast, we're doing a Dragon Ball Z marathon. And the funny thing is, we're actually at that point right now where we're getting introduced to Android 17 and 18. He's killed Dr. Gero and everything. So basically, do you have any favorite scenes from Dragon Ball Z or anything?
Yes, tons. But I would say, so if we go strictly DBZ, obviously the Android saga is my favorite because I'm Android 17. But I also have to think that they did something as villains in a way that was different from the other villains. They came down, they were kind of like sharks. They were like quiet, dangerous sharks. Whereas the other villain, I'm a villain. I kind of, like the other villains kind of came in with flair and panache. And Android 17 and 18, they were like, I'm bored. Let's go shopping. And they blow something up. And so they did something as villains that was different and interesting and fun. So that their whole like introduction to the world is my favorite. And my fight with Piccolo. My fight with Piccolo is pretty righteous. That's a pretty righteous fight.
It's probably one of the best in the series. It's on like just technical combat. I thought it was pretty good. You don't have to have any super crazy abilities or transformations happen to get a nice quality Dragon Ball Z fight.
That's right. That's right.
So out of all the characters you have played in the series, which one would you say you gravitate towards the most?
In all the series or all the Dragon Ball series?
It's just a Dragon Ball series.
So just the Dragon Ball. Obviously, Android 17 is probably my greatest character in the whole, in terms of his impact on the global population of anime fans. He's, he came back in Super. He got to be the GOAT.
And he won.
He won. He got, he's carried me a long way as a character. So I love him the most for those reasons. However, Emperor Pilaf, I don't know if we laugh more. We laugh more when I'm doing Pilaf than when I'm doing any of the other Dragon Ball characters. And I've done a lot. I was Android 13. I was Emperor Pilaf. I was Garlic Jr. I was this henchman Mustard. I was Kibito, Android 13. I was Master Shen, Mr. Shou.
Master Shen too? Okay.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball, I was one scene as someone called Invisible Guy. So, I've probably done 10 or 12 different fairly decent characters all throughout the property. But Android 17 is my favorite for sure.
Okay. Moving on to my next question. What do you find most challenging about being a voice actor?
The challenge about being an actor in general is the challenge about being a voice actor. You never know when it's over. Like you're like, I'm never going to act ever again. And because there's plenty of times, even as a successful actor, just ask like John Travolta pre Pulp Fiction. He was struggling to get work. And then Quentin Tarantino was like, you need a reboot, and rebooted him in Pulp Fiction. And then his career took off again. So even A-list actors go through it, but you don't know when the phone's just going to stop ringing and you're just not going to ever work again. And to that end, I always coach students that I work with to always have something they're doing that's creative, that doesn't require anyone else's permission. You don't need, because a lot of times as actors, we're waiting for somebody else's permission granting us the right to do our craft. We do a lot of auditioning, but that's fun, and you got to be good at it. But getting the role and getting the job is the bonus that we all look for. But you never want to be stuck waiting for it. You want to be, have something that you can proactively engage in.
You played a lot of classic characters throughout your career, but without choosing a character you're well known for, someone like you're mostly underrated, who do you feel like you relate most to?
Well, it's kind of a combo. I have there's an anime called Shin-Chan. Incredibly, it's the Japanese Simpsons. It's been running for 25 years or something, and it's as popular as the Simpsons. And I played Hiro Nohara, the father, in that anime, and his life, although he was a bit of a drunk and his parenting techniques were not the greatest. Obviously, it's a funny.
Sounds like the Simpsons.
But it was very much similar to my life, just the sort of family life and everything that was going on. There was definitely stuff that rang true for me. There was one time he woke up, Hiro Nohara woke up, and his daughter, who was a toddler or younger than a toddler crawling, had peed on his head. Hima's diaper had come off, and Hiro got his head peed on. And when I recorded that, I was like, just last week, we were walking around the house trying to find where the pee smell was. And I could smell the pee, but I couldn't find where the pee smell was coming from. And my children's mother, like leaned up against me. It's you. Someone peed on your back. So one of the baby in the bed had peed on me during the night, and I hadn't noticed. And I was like, this is just like the anime. But in terms of...
It must have was all dried up.
Yeah. No.
You were feeling up. That's the whole thing.
It was. And then I also did Stein from Soul Eater. And he's a teacher.
Okay.
Sort of a dangerous, not a dangerous teacher. He's a teacher that teaches in non-conventional ways, which is the way I like to teach. I like to teach in non-conventional ways that challenge students. So that's something that is I share that with Stein, and he's a little nuts. And if you asked anybody about me, they would probably say I'm a little nuts, and I'm okay with that. I think if you're in this society and you're not a little nuts, you're probably crazy, because it's a wacko society out there right now.
Before we got to this, you were kind of talking about your kids and stuff, and I can think that would be a big support system for you, help you keep going and doing what you do. But my next question is basically, is there anyone you want to shout out for being a good support system for you? And can you explain why that has helped you in your field, and also why is it important?
The main support that we get is from the fans. And I've had loyal fans. I have fans. One example is the Bridie family, Sean, Mark, and Ryan. They have been a supporter, fans and supporter of mine for a decade now. We've known each other for 10 years. And it finally got to the point where I was like, after like 5 years of them buying prints from me every time they saw me, I was like, you guys, you have all my prints. What do you need? You don't need more prints. Like, I'll sign whatever you want. Just take it. They've been buying prints from me for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And I was finally like, you guys are grandfathered in for whatever prints you want. When there's a new one, you take it. And there are lots of fans like that. It's estimated, that I probably have like 250,000 fans and about 25,000 sort of hardcore supporters. And that tracks with what I have on my social media. my TikTok and my Twitter both top out right around 25,000. And I don't push too hard on either of those, but that can give you a general idea of who wants to know what Android
What you got?
Yeah. So, and to have that level of support is an incredible thing as an artist, because it allows me to, like, I knew I was successful when I was able to tell my agent at the time, I don't want to audition for commercials anymore. I don't need to. I don't like them. I don't enjoy them. I would rather go to a convention and meet fans than sit on a commercial shoot. There's nothing interesting to me about it. And there's certainly interesting things happening at conventions all the time. It's our society. It's our tribe. And we've been a tribe for a very long time. And we started as this tribe of misfits in these sort of rundown hotels with ballrooms that would fill and panels. And, you didn't, in the beginning, we never sold anything. They would give you like, I think a bird just hit my window. That was wild. Nobody sold their autographs. We just showed up and we do autograph sessions where we just sign stuff for free. We would do some panels, and there'd be the green room party or the sort of staff room party on like Saturday night after the rave, and it'd go till 3 or 4 in the morning. And that was 20 years ago or whatever. And
Now it's so much bigger.
Yeah, and that community is what started it and kept it alive and kept it going and kept it growing until it became what it is today. And that type of camaraderie, that type of feeling or friendship that tribe needed at that time, because we were ostracized, we were made fun of. It was nerd culture was not cool. It was something you kind of had to hide. Do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons? Yeah. You wouldn't want to advertise it.
And for the longest, it wasn't cool to watch anime. So
I know. And that changed my niece. I heard her say, "Oh, Trisha, she's such a wannabe nerd," and I was like, "What? Repeat that for me. What do you mean wannabe nerd?" Because wannabes back when I was growing up was like, you want to be cool, you want to be popular, you want to be looked at as like a sports guy or whatever. You want to be and I was like, wannabe nerd. She's like, yeah, she said she likes anime, but I think she's only watched Demon Slayer or whatever. Like,
yeah.
The wave that came in with My Hero Academia, where this whole fandom of new anime fans who hadn't been grown in the culture of the early anime days. So they were kind of like, it was kind of like we all had this tribe, and then a bunch of new people came into the tribe, and they're like, we are also the tribe. And we were like, yes, of course you are, because that's our mode. Our anime mode is like, everybody is welcome. But it was this weird adjustment period where we had to sort of accept that this old hidden village that we would all get to go to meet with other like-minded people like us and share ideas and make friendships and do projects and connect. It was such a great place. It was those anime conventions. It was always so awesome to watch some guy in his like maybe quickly made cosplay, like, looking around, and you'd see them on Friday, and they were like, they're like, you shall not pass, or whatever. They were trying
all dressed up.
Yeah, and you were like, you'd be like, and they're trying to make friends or whatever. And by Sunday, they were with like people would just absorb you into their group. There'd be like a group of 6 kids, and they'd be like, that person has nobody. Let's go be their friend. And they'd all go over and sort of glomp them and say, you're with us now, and like take them along. And they'd be like, I don't know why I'm so happy. And it was this really lovely thing that everybody needed at that time. And now the benefits of it being sort of mainstream and popular is of course awesome. And you can never really go back to the way it was. But we need to honor the way it was. We need to recognize the sort of core tenets and core values of what the anime fandom was, which was absolute acceptance. Everybody's welcome. Nobody gets rejected.
It's interesting now.
Yeah, now it's mainstream, so it's kind of like everything else. And there's I went to, where was I? God, I can see. I go to so many conventions. It was a regular anime con, and why can't I remember? I can't remember.
You get more recognized for Android 17 or for Hiei?
Probably 17. Although there are a lot of Hiei fans, it's almost even at this point, I would say. And there's all these new people coming into Yu Hakusho, where I always get excited when there's like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old who's like, Hiei's my favorite. And I'm like, you're awesome. I'm so glad you like Yu Hakusho. Tell your friends. It's a great show. That's one I'm the Soul Eater and Yu Hakusho are ones I'm like hopeful for some type of reboot, or give Soul Eater the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment and follow the manga a little more closely, maybe.
That'd be nice. I got a question for you. Out of the two characters, Android 17 and Hiei, which one do you feel like was more challenging to play? Which one do you feel as an actor was more challenging to play?
Hiei, for sure. Android 17 is the easiest character I've ever played. The only notes I ever got from Sabbath for Android 17 was, man, that was too much. Just like, relax. Just do nothing. Like, be dead inside and just throw it away. Just say it. And I'd be like, I'm going to kill everything. And he's like, that's perfect, man. That's great. That's what I want. Just keep it dead. Nothing. And I was actively having to suppress my acting instincts and just kind of like hold my cup of coffee and just like say things. And is the easy. And even his fight with Piccolo, if you listen to that fight, Sabbath's having to do all sorts of like all the fight reactions, and Android 17 is dead silent. Dead. Got one. I think he has one reaction in that whole fight. He hits the ground and he goes. That's it. That's the only reaction he has in that whole fight. So Android 17 was definitely easier than Hiei, for sure.
Okay. Do you think voice actors get enough credit?
Too much, honestly. If I'm being honest, we get too much credit. We are the beneficiaries of the love. It's different because in anime, you can't really meet the character. You can't meet the actor. You can meet the actor who played the character, but it's different. There's a drawn character, and then there's us who do the voice. And so we receive accolades that should be going to the writers and the artists and the directors. We do the least amount for anime in terms of the artistic process. Our contribution is far below the writers and the artists and the directors and all the people involved in the actual creation of the anime do far much more work than we do. I mean, if it takes 2 years to make something and we can record our part in an hour and a half or 2 hours, we're not contributing that much, to that. And we get all this because fans want to connect with the reality of the anime. We're the beneficiaries of that because we sound exactly like the character they love. So we get way more recognition than I don't want to say more than we deserve, but we're very lucky that we're in this. We all worked really hard in the beginning. And we all worked really hard at conventions for not a lot of money to build the fan base and show up for fans. And, you know, we were just happy to be in an art form where we could connect with fans like that. So we've definitely received more credit than we deserve, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting way of putting it. I think the amount of times I've asked that question, I've never really had someone hit me back with that. But that's an interesting way to put it, because I mean, there are people who animate the whole thing, people who direct the whole thing. Even a lot of these projects come from a whole nother country where they make it, and then it comes over here, and like, you know what I mean? So all those people we don't even know those people. Yeah. That's almost like no-name people.
That's right.
All right. For my next question, I want to ask you, do you think there's any misconceptions about voice acting?
I think there's two misconceptions about voice acting. One from the actors, and one from the fans, or the people who want to be voice actors. And the misconception from the actors is that that voice acting is the same as regular acting in other mediums. And it's not. It has skill related to it. Of course, you have to be a good actor. No, not of course you have to be a good actor. It is definitely better if you're a good actor, but there are plenty of voice actors who are not good actors. But they're great voice actors. They're great doing the characters that they do. But if you were to give them, you know, a Harold Pinter scene and ask them to do a cold read of a Shakespeare monologue, or to dive into some really thick Sam Shepard or something, they would fall apart like a house of cards, and they would not know their head from a hole in the ground, and they would fail. And so there's this idea that because we're adored the way that we are, that somehow equates to the work that we do or the talent that we have, and it does not. We get the adoration because of the hard work of the writers and the artists. It is almost nothing to do with our portrayal. And yes, you could screw it up. You could be bad. Generally speaking, the directors we have avoid that from happening. But anime voice acting is part of the reason it's so appealing to people, is because it is the easiest form of acting. And when I say it's the easiest form of acting, that doesn't mean it's easy. Acting is always hard. But the variables that are missing for you in anime voice acting, no costume, no line memorization, no audience, no crew, you know, there's not 80 people on set holding traffic waiting for you to get your freaking monologue right. You know, the directing very clear. There's not a lot of room for adding too much to it. So it is the easiest form of acting, and a lot of voice actors think that it's somehow a special thing, and it's not. It is you know, it's the easiest form of acting, and from the fan standpoint, it's almost the direct opposite, that somehow it's easy. And somehow and just because it's the easiest form of acting doesn't mean it's easy. It's just on the scale of acting jobs, you can, the worst actors can succeed well in anime voice acting, and they succeed well in all sorts of, in film and television too, if they look pretty, or they know the producer, whatever. There's plenty of bad actors getting jobs and having successful careers. But from the fan standpoint, it's the idea that it's somehow just about the voice. Like acting is about changing your voice. And it's not. Most of the characters that I do, or that I'm known for, ditto most of the other successful voice actors, the characters they're known for sound like them, you know, sound like me. Hiei and Stein and Android 17 are all basically right here in my natural range.
Yeah, I can hear a bunch of Android 18, 17, and a little bit of Hiei.
Yeah, Hiei's here too. It's late in the day and it's been a long day, so my voice is a little shredded, but you know.
In 2010, you suffered a heart attack, and I'm glad you're okay.
What? When did this happen?
Is that not true? Oh, okay.
No.
Oh my God, I hope I didn't get messed that up. But I wanted you to talk about how important it is to basically keeping up with insurance and taxes, because you're technically your own business, being a self-employed business. And
yeah, so we're thankfully covered by my wife's insurance now, which is amazing for us, because it's, especially this year, it's been incredibly helpful. We've had a lot of hospital visits this year, so it's not been it would have been it's still expensive. It doesn't matter, you got insurance.
Always gonna be expensive.
I'm still $9,000 out of pocket, and it's like, oh, that's terrible. You know, for 2 days in the hospital or whatever. It's like, so yeah, the business side of things, and I am becoming a better business person at 53. I was not taught anything about finances or bills or taxes. So it is very important to make that a priority.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science. You take it one step at a time, and just build on it from there. You get your LLC, you get your S corp, you figure out what things are deductible, and you start shaping your business world in such a way that you're maximizing your gains and minimizing your tax exposure or whatever.
Yes. That's one thing I've noticed. A lot of voice actors, they usually kind of get like health issues, and then they usually have to do like a GoFundMe and all that. And I always think to myself, like, I wish there was a way for them to be able to get like health care within their like job in their field or through their unions or something like that. Because it's like, it's crazy to have to do all this incredible work, and now it's like, maybe someone will help me out in this situation.
Yeah, I was very thankful for the fans that helped out during my heart attack, because it did give me a month or two to recover. I didn't have to keep working, and that's primarily what it was. It was for the procedure itself, and the stay in the hospital and the helicopter ride and all of that stuff was, I think, $500,000.
Wow, that's crazy how bad our health system is, and then
Yeah.
they expect you to pay all that. Like, how am I gonna do that? Like, I can't even get my student loans together. Like that.
That was kind of the part that was thankful about that, was it was so much money. I was like, I can never pay that. I'm never going to be able to pay back $500,000. And a little known fact is that if you have a cardiovascular event, if you have a heart attack, and don't quote me on this and double check it, but my bills, I never paid a dime on them. And then I kept waiting for them to show up on collections. And what I was going to do was, I was like, well, let me let them go to collections, and then once they're in collections for a while, they'll get sold, and then the debt gets sold to someone else, and then to someone else, and then you settle on a payment plan for a much lower amount. But with cardiovascular events, there's a government program that if the surgeon in the hospital doesn't get paid, they can apply to be paid from the government. So, but you have to never have paid anything on it. If you pay anything on it, you're stuck. And of course, they're not going to tell you this. It's something I discovered after the fact, because my bills just disappeared. And I was actually on the plane with my surgeon like 5 years later. And I was like, that dude looks so familiar. And I was flying into DC where I'd had the heart attack. And I said, are you a heart surgeon? And he said, yeah. I'm like, you operated on me in 2010. And he was like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, actor, pregnant wife, pregnant with baby number 5. He was like, oh, yeah, I do remember you. And I was like, thank you so much for dismissing the bill. And he goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. He goes, I don't know why I don't do any of the billing, so I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, well, okay, that's great. Then your people are great. And then I found out years later that it's a government program that pays for it. But,
Well, that's amazing to know that. So I hope that anybody out there that didn't know that, or you listeners, I hope you're picking up on that, because that might be some good information.
Don't just trust me.
Oh, look it up too. I don't want you to be baking on this and then they be like, what are you talking about?
The Matrix that only happened for me.
Moving on to our last two questions. My next question is, do you have any advice for anybody that wants to get into the field of voice acting? Like, what is the best way for them to go about this? Should they go to school? Should they take any classes? What should they expect for their first compensation?
Yeah, you definitely need to take classes. I teach private lessons. You can go to my website, chuckhuber.org, and click on where it says masterclass. And that class is already, the one that's showing on the page is already filled and done, but I do private sessions one-on-one. But there's a link on that page, and if you open it up, it's a spreadsheet of like 60 different places where you can audition. And among those is one called Casting Call Club, and that's like the Craigslist of voice acting. It's amateur, anybody can post an audition, anybody can audition. So it's a great place to practice the process of auditioning, because if you don't like the process of auditioning, you're not going to like acting, because most of acting is auditioning. So you got to make sure you're art before you invest thousands of dollars in microphone and equipment and studio or whatever.
All right. And for my last question is basically, what ambitions or goals do you have left in the field of voice acting or in anime, since you also produce, and I think, do you direct too?
I don't direct anime. I direct films, features, series. I produce. I write. I've done pretty much everything you can do in anime. There's not much more of a challenge there for me, and I have, largely switched my focus to producing and writing. Producing a film called Mud Life, which is based on a short called Broke Down Drone. Everyone should Google Broke Down Drone film and check it out. Great film. We're making a feature out of it, shooting it in Chicago. I've been having a lot of fun producing on that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are sort of the next steps for me, I see, is making some movies.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Again, so are you starting to transition out of the field of anime into more real movies and stuff?
Yeah, I've been a TV film actor the whole time. I was also an anime actor. It's just that anime became more popular, and we're very blessed and successful because of it. And I can never leave it. There's no leaving anime. I'm permanently affixed to it. So there's no leaving it. There's just sort of changing your extra focus to different places.
All right. And with that, I want to end today's episode. Before we go, I just want to thank you for all the amazing work and for bringing some of our favorite characters to life, and for also coming on.
You're welcome. And I do have one request. I'm doing a fundraiser for an anime fan who's a friend of mine.
Okay.
He's got major dental work that she needs. She's special needs, adult on disability. In our stupid healthcare system, the free healthcare doesn't cover dental. They'll give you pain pills for your hurting teeth, but they won't fix your teeth. It's the dumbest thing in the world. And I sent you a link I emailed it to you, both to the fundraiser that I'm doing for Brittany and to my master classes. So if you have the ability to post those with this, that would be great. I would appreciate that.
Most definitely. I'll try to get this out within the next week or two so I can get all this out.
Awesome.
Okay. And with that, I just want to in today's episode, I want to thank you again for coming on and chatting it up with me. I had a lot of fun and learned so much more about the field of voice acting, and hopefully you listeners did too. And before we close out, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to basically plug yourself, tell everybody what your social media is and everything.
Chuck_Huber on Twitter, Android Huber on TikTok, Chuck Huber on Instagram. And I'm terrible on all of those, but I occasionally am very funny.
And with that, I want to say peace.
Peace.